Thank you so much for joining me, Laura. I'm excited about this conversation. I think there's a lot to be learned here, and I think you have a conversation of just so much resilience in your life. And I think we can all learn a lot from your story and take a lot from it. So, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes, I'm excited too. So, if you'll just start off with telling us a little bit about yourself, of like where you are now.
Sure. So I'm a marketing and systems strategist. I own an agency, and my team and I help other entrepreneurs with their marketing and their systems and just growing their business in general. I started this business in 2019. It wasn't always easy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
But at the time I was married and I had a very nice, steady income until I didn't.
yeah.
And thankfully, I had built up the business the way I did to be able to get divorced. Because a lot of people, and I think this is a great conversation that we could have at some point. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's what you want to start with, but I mean, like, just to have a steady business during such a hard time in my life. So in the last year, I have gotten, well, it's not even official yet. The divorce is not finalized. I'm still in the process. But I did have to move my child, my 2-year old and I back home to Florida from Virginia. We were living in Virginia because I couldn't stay there. It was, uh, it wasn't a horrible situation or anything like that, but it was just I couldn't be by myself. So that
Yeah.
was my only thing. And I really needed the support of my family. And while sometimes I actually did have a breakdown this week a little bit about how I feel like that makes me weak, because I need family and I need the support and help raising my child. I also need to think about how blessed I
Hmm.
am to be able to have that. But yeah, I did move, and the entire month of December when I moved, almost a year ago, like 10 months ago, I barely worked because I was just so like, it was hard. It was a hard time, but my business did not skip a beat. And so I was like able to, thank God I had these systems in place to be able to continue to have an income. And it's just a blessing the way I built this up. So now I teach other women, business owners who are wanting that sort of same um like structure in their business. Like you
Hmm.
should not be working for, like, you should not be an employee of your own business is what I'm trying to say. And so yeah, so many people, I used to have it that way until I built it in this way where I don't have it as that anymore, and it's just so much easier, and it gives you a lot more flexibility for when life throws you plot twists, because it will.
That's so beautiful. I love that. There's so much we can unpack within that too. Just being like a woman and having grace and learning to just see your blessings even though you're going through so much. There's so much to unpack in that, which we'll definitely get to. I definitely want to start out with, if you don't mind, just telling us a little bit about your backstory of how you got to the point of where you are, where you moved to Florida. How long were you married? How was that marriage? And what happened for your move?
So, he was my high school sweetheart. So we were
Aw.
together for 18 years. It was a long time. I mean, we were married for 8. I actually moved the day of our 8-year anniversary, wedding anniversary.
Wow.
It was like ironic how that happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so back in May of 2024, I got I got an inquiry on my website of all things
Ugh.
from a man saying that his wife and my husband were having an affair. The way like my stomach was on the floor when I saw that, it was like thinking about that, that was pretty traumatic because it was like that's my
Mhm.
business. Like it feels a little bit like invasive, but also like holy moly, what is happening right now? And so from that, I was like, I can't do this. Like what do I do? Like I can't. And at that point, we had a 1.5-year old. He wasn't even 1.5. He was a little less, a little younger. And it was like, do I want to uproot his life? At the time, he was out of town. He wasn't even in town when I got that message.
Mhm.
I screenshotted what I got. I sent it to him. He called me immediately. He
Ugh.
was begging, he was crying, he was like, oh my God. And he was out of town. He was on a business trip. He traveled a lot for work. He came back that night, like, even though he wasn't done with his trip. And he was like begging me to stay. I was literally packing a bag when he got home. I was like, I can't. I was torn. I was like, do I uproot my child? Like,
Yeah,
what do I
because it's
do?
not just you. Yeah.
Yeah, and my child, yeah, he was one, but he had his life there. He had a daycare that he went to.
Mhm.
He had his friends, which I know he's just one, but it's truthfully like he what sold me is the fact that we didn't have anybody there. Like we didn't have family. It was just us. Like he had it, but he had his life. He had his daycare, it was the whole thing. And to take him away from his father because I would have to go back all the way to Florida and it's still something that I struggle with a lot. Like I even had a conversation with him this morning, my ex, because he's a government employee and right now the government is shut down. And so
Yeah.
he's not getting paid, so he's very good about his child support duties and all the things. But he was telling me that he obviously can't give me, anything this time because he didn't get paid. So obviously I understood it. And it's like he also, I did not know this, but they took away his leave because he's not. I think he's actually working for no pay right now because he's part of the essentials. But anyway, so it's one of those things.
Oh.
They took away his leave, so he can't even come see his son, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
that breaks my heart for my son. So anyway, that was May. I decided to give him a chance, and that would have been chance number, I don't even know how many, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, he still swears up and down that it wasn't like a physical affair, that it was just emotional. She was a coworker. I just felt uncomfortable about the whole thing. So I gave him like, three things that I really wanted from him: open phone policy, location, and we need to go to therapy together and fix our finances. Like that was like all in one. I think if we fix that, we'll be good. That's what
Mhm.
I was thinking. So we started couples therapy. We had a great couples therapist. She was great. But it always stuck in the back of my mind. Like I'm never gonna be able to trust him ever again, and like how am I ever gonna know whether like was it really not physical, like
Yeah. What's
truthfully,
the real truth?
what's the real truth? And but
Mhm.
truthfully, an emotional affair is almost worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost worse. Betrayal of any kind is not great. It's not a great feeling, but an emotional, it's like you had an emotional connection to someone who was not your wife. Like that's not okay.
Mhm.
And so it just didn't work. Like we kept fighting. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great feeling. My mom visited for her birthday actually in November. And at that point, we were kind of sleeping in separate rooms. And he just decided to leave and go be with
Yeah.
her. He left and went to be with her anyway. Yeah.
No.
Uh huh. He went to be
So
with her.
how long within this did he decide to leave and just go be with her?
Truthfully, I don't think he ever stopped talking to her. Like
Really?
like I asked, but I'm never gonna know the truth.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he did admit to me that he like started talking to her again like in August. That's when things got pretty weird. Like he wasn't this as affectionate, I guess, and I was like,
Mhm.
you know, I've always been someone who doesn't micromanage my partner. I don't li- I love the feeling of being detached, and I don't mean detached in like a cold way. I mean, like, unbothered, like, okay, if you're gonna cheat, you're gonna cheat. It is what it
Yeah.
is. And there's
Yeah.
nothing I can do about it. Looking through your phone is not gonna solve the problem. Like, I've
Yeah.
always been like that. So, and that took a long time to get to, by the way. Lots of evolution as a person. But I also felt like because I did have this experience with him quite a few times where it was like he would talk to other girls that we knew like in high school, and I'd be like, it was like
Mhm.
immature. I was like, how dare you? And I would look through his phone, like, and then it got to a point where I was like, you know what, this is like unhealthy. Like, why am I looking?
Yeah.
It's literally like not, it's like self-sabotage. It's like, why do I want to look? If he's gonna cheat, he's gonna cheat. Like, it is what it is. And if so I was in this mentality where I'm okay. Like I'm okay with my life the way it is, regardless of
Mhm.
whether he's in it or not. So at the point where he decided to leave, I had like a day where I was like, oh my God, I can't get out of bed and I'm crying and like my life is changing. The only reason I was that upset obviously he was my life partner. He was my very best friend. He was my high school
Yeah.
sweetheart.
You grew up together. Yeah.
Yeah, we grew up together. I spent most like I was with him for most of my life. It was a
Yeah.
hard thing to let go of in that sense, but I feel like also it had died like way back in May. Like anyway. And so I was
Yeah.
kind of over it at that point. But I was also promised some things like retirement, and like I took out a lot of my retirement and throughout our marriage. Like I was a teacher before I started my business, and I pulled out my entire retirement when I quit teaching just to keep us afloat so I could start my business. And
Yeah.
while yes, it was me, my business, and I understand that, but we're a partnership, and he was totally supportive. He was gonna help me financially no matter what. But it was like one of those things, he's like, I got you, don't worry, my retirement's gonna cover us both when it comes down. Like it was one of those things. And
Yeah. Like for the future. Yeah.
mhm.
Not
And
within the moment.
so that was taken from me when this was like finalized, and it's like now we're negotiating that aspect because I am technically entitled to half of his retirement
Yeah.
for half of the amount of time we were married. So that's like the technicality. But anyway, so it was just one of those things where I was scared. I was like, my business is doing really, really well, but it's like I'm gonna have to support me and my child now, like alone.
Like when he said he was going to leave, like how was that a turning moment for you of trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to do my life? And also when did you tell your mom? Because you want to protect your parents. I'm very close to my parents. I don't know about you, but you want to protect them and tell them when they actually need to know instead of before. Like how was both of those? Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what's actually funny is that on her birthday, that's when this happened. He decided to leave on her.
No way.
So she was there.
Oh my gosh.
She
So
was
your
there.
mom was there in the act, seeing it all happen.
She was there in the act, and yes, I am a fiery redhead.
Yeah.
And so she did see some things that, oh my God, like,
But you don't know how you're gonna react in that moment.
but truthfully, I tell my friends what happened and like what I did, and they're like, "You didn't burn his clothes? Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? Like, you didn't burn the
No one
house
knows how they're
down?"
gonna react. Yeah.
So I did throw a shoe at his head, and I threw his clothes down the stairs. That's what I did. That was
That's not
it.
bad. It's really not bad.
I mean, like some people, his sister actually was going through something very similar, and she cut up all of her husband's clothes with
Oh,
scissors.
yeah. Yeah.
So I
She took time.
at least I didn't do that.
Exactly.
So, I did that. And so, like, yeah, I had one day of anger. The next day, I was in bed. My mom had to leave shortly after that. I can't remember the exact timeline right now. She had to leave to come back. She works, and so she had to come back to work. It was Thanksgiving shortly after.
Oh,
I had already planned a trip home to Miami for the
yeah.
holidays, so I had a plane ticket. Um, And as of right then, I was thinking, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to wait until the plane, like until we come for the holidays, and we're just not gonna come back. I was still mulling over, am I gonna like move or am I gonna stay here? I
Mhm.
don't know. Virginia is also very expensive where we were. It's but in the DC area, very expensive. Also, Miami is also expensive. What am I saying? But I would have had the support of my
Yeah.
family, and eventually I did move in to my grandma's house with my mom and my grandma. And I'm not ashamed of it. At first I am. I was a little bit, but I am not ashamed of it anymore because I needed help, especially when I first got here. Like like I needed the emotional support for myself, but I still need the physical help with my child.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank God I live here because in March I fell and I broke 4 fingers in this hand, and it's still not great. I can't bend this finger.
Oh, no.
It's one of those things. And so I need help. I need like actual
Mhm.
physical help taking care of my kid. Like I can't do a lot of things that I used to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a different story. But yeah, from my mom was there. This happened in November. For a few weeks, it was like, am I moving? Am I not moving? Am I uprooting my child from his life? He only really had daycare, his friends, but I just like, I wanted his father in his life
Yeah,
for
of
my child's
course.
sake. As much as I hated him in that moment, it was like I still want him to be my child's father. Like he has to be in his life. And it's
Mhm.
like if we move to Florida, how is that gonna work? And it's like it's not 2 seconds away. And he doesn't even fly, which is so annoying. So he wouldn't like take an airplane to come visit him. He has to drive the whole 15 hours.
Oh, wow.
It's a whole thing. And so it was really hard, but I ultimately decided that that would be the best move, and truthfully, I do not regret it because now my son gets to grow up with family. I have 3 nieces and a nephew that live here. My brothers are not in my life, but that's besides the point. They're my brother's ex-wife is basically an aunt to him. Um,
Oh,
and I have cousins. My cousin has 4 kids. One of my other cousins has a kid. And so it's like, he has a ton of family here.
yeah.
And um, I honestly have never been happier, which is crazy considering like I really thought I had the perfect life. And when I look back on it, oh my God, I could have been so much more free and
Yeah.
so different. And yeah, like it was traumatic, but it's made me who I am today. And I feel like I couldn't be more thankful. Like I think this has taught me that everything that happens to you happens for a reason, which is such a cliche thing, but it's so true. Like
It
everything happens
is.
for a reason, and it's supposed to be where you're supposed to be where you're supposed to be, like where you're meant to be. And so
Yeah.
I've met the most amazing people since I've moved back home. I have my friends now too that I've missed because I've been away. And so it's been so great.
That's so awesome. I love hearing that because it seems like, from what I gather is from the beginning of you moving to Florida, there could have been some shame there and embarrassment of moving in with family and you're supposed to be in a family, have your own family. You don't have that anymore to moving out of that and really seeing the blessings that really came from all of that. Where would you say was that turning point from you feeling that embarrassment and shame to you saying that none of that matters? Like, when did that change happen?
So I still struggle with it sometimes where I'm like,
Mhm.
I feel a little embarrassed. So I'm not gonna lie, I have been in the dating pool a little bit since I've,
Good for you.
honestly, I don't, no regrets, right? Like,
Yeah.
no, I am doing what, like, I'm having so much fun. And so it's kind of like a weird conversation, of course, when it's like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I live with family. But what I've learned also is that's in Miami, specifically, lots of Hispanics. I'm Cuban, so it's very
I can
traditional.
hear the accent. I was gonna ask. I was like, she's gotta be have some Spanish or something in there.
Yeah, I'm Cuban, and so, like, tons of people in Miami, it's a very, like, familial place. So, like,
Mhm.
my mom also grew up with both grandparents. Like, she lived with one set of grandparents and the other set of grandparents. My ex-in-laws, they lived with their parents too sometimes. Like, they went from one set of parents.
Yeah.
Like, they lived like it's so common. And it's not necessarily, it shouldn't be and truthfully, the way I feel better about myself is that I'm doing what's best for my child. And what's best
Mhm.
for my child is having a mother who's functional because she has help. And
Yeah.
I know that so many moms out there might be listening to this like, you're so lucky. I don't have that sort of. So I recognize that. I'm very lucky that I have a village. It takes a village. I have a village.
Mhm.
Not everyone has that. And so that's kind of what I've told myself to make myself less quote unquote embarrassed about the situation. At the end of the day, I know I can move out if I want to. Like financially, I'm good.
Yeah.
But I just love being close to family and I just need that support. And I don't think that there's any shame in the support and needing that support. In fact, I think it's actually commendable to recognize that I need the help and do what's
Mhm.
best for my child. So that's
Yeah.
kind of
I
what I
think
tell
it's
myself.
beautiful. I think that's awesome. I mean, I think so many of us have probably and have been through so much in our lives that we never expected. Like for me, my whole thing is health. Like I was diagnosed with 2 rare blood disorders at the age of 19. I was like a sophomore in college, ready to start sophomore year. And that happened. And it's been a huge kind of I call it a blessing in disguise because I was able to see how strong I was, all of that. So hearing your story, I can see the blessings even though it was a hard time, I see all the blessings that are there and the things that are happening to really help you also. And I think that's awesome. I think it takes a lot of courage to up and move from one state to another as well, and try and navigate the divorce, all of that. What would you say to somebody out there that is probably in the same shoes as you as far as getting divorced, like a woman that maybe doesn't have the confidence or the boost? Like, what advice would you give somebody starting out that's going through a divorce just like you?
The first thing I would say is really sit with your feelings because suppressing them doesn't
Mhm.
do anything. That's coming from someone who hates emotions and hates feelings, and other trauma in my life has caused me to really hate like expressing myself too, but that's besides the point. But it's sometimes super necessary. Um,
Mhm.
so feel the feelings, but then it's kind of like that one day where I couldn't get out of bed. I was still in Virginia and I called my mom and I was crying and I was like I couldn't like get out of bed and whatever. My aunt happened to be here, my mom's sister, and she grabbed the phone from my mom and said, "Put on your big girl panties and get out of bed." I went through the same thing. Your mom went through like so many people have gone
Aw.
through the same thing. My aunt actually like very similar story. She had to just get up and move away as well, and it happened at a time in her life when her father passed away too.
Oh,
Um, and it was like so many things. She's like, I went through hell. Like she was telling me this on the phone too, screaming at me, put on your big girl
yeah.
panties. You gotta do what you gotta do for your
That tough
kids.
love,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like it is sometimes we just need that tough love. Um,
Mhm.
but you should take that time for yourself to let yourself feel the feelings. I think it's important. But and I know depression is like a real thing.
Mhm.
It's like a really hard struggle that people have, and there are people that cannot get out of bed when they go through things like this, and it's like a real thing. But at the end of the day, what helped me move forward was the thought of my kid and like what is
Mhm.
staying in bed going to do for my child?
Yeah.
Like I'm like I'm gonna lose client. Like I was like I'm gonna lose clients. I'm gonna like not be able to make money in my business, and I really need my business to sustain me now. Like it's not even an option anymore. And so I really needed to get out of bed, and so trust me, I know because my other aunt, my dad's sister, when she went through something very similar, I can't believe we all go through this. It's horrible. Um,
Yeah.
it's like she went through something very similar, and there were days she couldn't get out of bed and she didn't go to work, and then she would get in trouble at work.
Yeah.
And so, in that sense, I'm very blessed because I'm a business owner and I kind of like make my own hours, but I still have clients that I need to make sure get what they need. And so I didn't want to lose my clients in the process of this. So like I snapped out of it basically is what it is. So if anyone is going through this right now, just feel the feelings, take your time, but then keep that one thing in mind that's going to keep you going if you're a single
Mm.
mom, if you're a mom, then it's your child, your children. If you're not a mom and you're still going through something like this, find that one thing in your life that's going to keep you going and that's going to give you that reason to get out of bed because that's literally what saved me.
Yeah, that's really good advice, especially feel your feelings. I think that's always important and something we don't like to do as humans, especially when they're horrible feelings. Like that's the last thing we want to do. But I feel like getting those feelings out really kind of helps so you can move forward. I do want to talk about your business as well, because I it sounds like, which I think is great for women to hear, is you having something of your own that has sustained you and helped you. So that's one of the less worries, is finances and what are you going to do on that part because you had your own. Tell us about the processes and all of that that you set up yourself.
So, my business is almost completely automated to the point where I mean, I am client facing. I'm the strategy behind a lot of things, but I have a lot of automations and process and so in place so that I can be spend more time one on one with clients versus in
Mhm.
my business, right? You want to spend more time. Wait, you want to spend more time on your business, not in your business. I don't know. I don't remember the saying right now. Like you, there's like this saying that people say, and so having these systems, and it looks different from person to person. Um, it could be hiring a team when you're ready, of course. I wouldn't recommend hiring people before you're ready, but like financially. And that's part of what I do because I do have an agency. And so I've learned to delegate. I've learned to structure my business in a way where the money flows in and gets
Yeah.
funneled to my team, but it's still making a profit, that sort of thing. And it's like, it's something that takes a lot of brain power. Um, but at the end of the day, a lot of the women I work with now in the coaching side of things, it's more, coaches and healers, things like that, that I'm teaching them how to automate their business so they don't have to constantly be worrying about that. Now, if you're in this position like I was in and you haven't started a business, because I know that what's so common nowadays is that women feel stuck in marriages because they
Mhm.
cannot financially leave. And so
Yeah.
I'm so blessed that I was able to, like, that I left, that things ended at a point when, I had this steady income coming in, and it was like
Mhm.
my business didn't take a like skip a beat, truthfully. But I know some women don't have that option, like even stay-at-home moms. And I know that some people, like moms especially, like we do anything for our kids, and
Mhm.
you want to stay home and you want to be a stay-at-home mom. I encourage you, if you have a passion, if you have any sort of skill. Everyone has a skill. So every single person in this universe has a skill of some sort. So monetize your skill. Figure out what that is. Figure out what sort of business you can start. Even stay-at-home moms, you take nap time, you build. I have helped women build businesses during nap time. I have, because it's one of those things that is so important to have your own financials so you're not relying on somebody else in case things go south. I have made it almost my life mission to help women in that exact position where they feel stuck in marriages
Mhm.
and they can't get out because they just like can't afford it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, yeah, so I help them figure out what that skill is, start the business. While it takes a while for a business to take off, at least you're making forward momentum. And
Mhm.
honestly, in today's economy, it's almost like, is it worth sending a kid to daycare or going to work? Because you're paying your entire paycheck's going to go to daycare. Literally, like daycare is so expensive, it's
It
crazy.
is.
And so, it's one of those things, your business can make you an infinite amount of money. Like when you truly believe that it can. In fact, money is like a renewable resource. Like there's infinite amounts of money in this world. You can make as much money as you want. You just have to really put your mind to it and work and structure your business in a way that brings in that money. So,
I think that is amazing, and I think a lot of women need to know that. I think a lot of time in marriages, you are so dependent on the male, and, you know, some of course, there are a lot of women that handle the finances, but I think you're so dependent on the male that you lose sight of you bringing in money and you keeping yourself afloat just in case anything happens like what has happened with you. But I think you've also have such a great story of telling women what to do if you're in that boat and really helping women find that skill. If you don't mind like sharing, where do you tell somebody that's like, okay, I'm listening to this, I'm a woman and I want to find my skill. Where do they start? Like, how do they start to hone in and find that one skill that may help them make money?
so like I said, everyone has a skill.
Mhm.
Just really look deep down. What in your life have you been good at? What in your life have you helped other people with? Have people come to you for relationship? I have helped somebody become a relationship coach, legit, because she's helped people with
I
relationships.
love that.
Yeah. And it was not something that she was like she ever fathomed she would do. It was like, what? I'm a relationship coach. That's so random. Have you given people like even back in high school, did you give people advice on their like on boys and things like that?
Mhm.
you probably have a good like brain for that sort of thing to help people in their relationships. And some people and people will invest in what they want. So people will invest
Mhm.
in a relationship coach if they really need it. If we really wanted to make this work, I would have invested in a relationship coach back then, but
Yeah.
that wasn't really the case. And so, just figure out what that is, what in your life, what do your friends tell you you're good at? Even ask people around you, ask your parents, ask your siblings, what are you good at? What do you like to do? So actually, I started my like it's still part of my business. It's like a secondary business, I guess. And that is makeup. I'm a freelance makeup artist as well, certified
Cool.
freelance makeup artist. I do lots of bridal, but I also do special effects. So Halloween's my favorite. I love this time of year. And so I started an Instagram account and a YouTube channel way back in 2014, marketing my like not marketing. I was just like it was fun. It was for funsies.
Yeah.
And then I started making money off of like the actual platforms back when they actually paid really well. Now they don't pay as well, but that's
Yeah.
the point. And then I started getting tons of bookings for clients for makeup because of it. And I was like, wait a minute. I could teach other people how to use social media as marketing. So that's how I started my agency. So you have to like
Mm.
figure out what it is. Like it turned my stuff turned into this. Like my passion was makeup. Makeup like it paid okay like to be on the platforms and post. Like I got, money off of the platforms, but ultimately what got me money was booking clients and things like that. It was
Mm.
a secondary job. It was like I was still teaching at the time, so it wasn't like I was relying on it and putting a ton of effort in either, but it still worked really well. And so what I'm saying is maybe you're good at makeup, maybe like whatever that skill you might have is, it could evolve into something else, into a completely different business model. I never thought I would have an agency and then also like a coaching side of my business, and I still do makeup stuff on the side, and I still do sometimes brands will ask me to promote their products and pay me for it. So like
Oh, yeah.
it's like a different sort of side to my business. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what I would say. Like ask your friends, ask your parents, ask people around you what like they think you're good at, or really look
Mhm.
inside. um did people ask you in high school for help like on certain things? Like just figure out what that would be, and just realize that there's a market for everything in this world, and especially in the
Yeah.
online space you can make a business out of anything.
Yeah.
I am now helping, recently one of my most recent new clients is a suicide loss coach. And so she like that's such a
Oh,
niche.
wow.
It's a
It
very
is.
niche thing. So she took her like the pain of losing her brother to suicide, and now she's helping other people who have gone through very similar things, grief through suicide. Like it's so interesting how anything in your life can turn into a business. So not
Yeah.
only like what are you good at and like what people might have asked you for help with in the past, but what have you gone through yourself? Because that's literally what this client has made her business around, which is very interesting.
That is such good advice. I love that. That also makes me think, like, any older women that may think it's too late.
Mm-mm.
What do you tell them? I
It,
love to speak to older women that are like, I would love to do that, but I can't do that now." And I think that it's good for them to hear that they could still do it. So what do you say about that?
it's never too late. In fact, this client that I just told you about is in her 50s,
Wow.
and she's just starting her business. And she still works full time, which is great. Like most of my, not most of my clients, but most business owners, obviously they start this as like a side hustle type thing
Yeah.
until they can sustain themselves, and that's totally fine. It is never too late. You are never,
Mhm.
my mother-in-law is 60 something, I forget, my ex-mother-in-law. And she wants to start a sewing business. She's been wanting to do it for years. The thing is that what happens with older women is that exact mentality. I'm too old,
Mhm.
it's too late, and then they never do it. And that just makes me so sad. And what I watched my ex-mother-in-law, like what happened with her, she was working in a field that she literally had zero desire to work in. And now
Yeah.
that she's retired, she wants to do something with her life, and she feels like it's still too late. And it is not. It is not too
Mm-mm.
late. You can start at whatever time you want. Like there's always a market for everything, honestly.
Yeah. I love hearing that because I think women don't hear that a lot, or you may be too scared to start your own business. I think that's really good advice for people to know. So going back to your divorce and talking about how that change was, you talked a lot about your village as well. How important was it for you to have that village behind you when you were going through your divorce?
Truthfully, it was more like I needed the emotional support. My mom is my absolute best friend. I'm so blessed
Yeah,
to
I'm the
have,
same. Yeah.
yeah, like my mom is my absolute best friend, but I know some people have tricky relationships with their mothers.
Mhm.
But obviously, it's depending on the situation. And like I said before, not everyone has a village, and I recognize I'm so blessed that I do. What's ironic about my divorce, by the way, is that my ex-mother-in-law went through the exact same thing, and my ex-husband was there to witness it. He was there to witness her sort of like breakdowns, and
Uh,
it was really hard for him. He's seen that side twice because together, his parents got back together when we were in high school, and then yes, and then they separated again. She would tell me the stories of their first of their they weren't married the second time, but their divorce, they're like when my ex was 5, and she didn't have a village. She did
mm,
not have a village. They lived in New York, and her entire family was in Puerto Rico or in Gainesville. So random, like Gainesville, Florida. It's like a
yeah.
random little town. And so that's where her family lived. She did not have a village, and so she created her own village. She had
Mm,
friends that she's still friends with from today, even though she moved back to Miami. She moved to Miami years later, and she's still in contact with them, and they live in New York.
wow.
So it's one of those things. She made her own village. You can
Mhm.
always make your own village. It's so hard to make friends as an adult. Like I'm still
It
myself
is.
trying to make friends. I have some of my friends that from high school that even though when I moved away, like we kind of lost contact, and we still talk now and we hang out. And I have my friends that I missed, but I want to make new friends, and it's been a little tricky. It's kind of hard to do that, but I have found that the internet, the online space is a very easy way to do that.
Yeah.
Joining a bunch of Facebook groups for your town, like I'm in part of this Facebook group, Girl Friendships in South Florida, like that sort of thing, and just to try to make friends. And
Yeah.
so, you can make a village. You can make, and it's not something where you're like making friends just so they can take care of your kids. Like, no. But, it's one of those things you can, there's always options. And that's what my ex-mother-in-law did, and it worked really well for her. And it was it's so nice that she's still in contact with those people who were her village. So,
Yeah, that's so awesome to hear. I feel like when you go through something like that too, you really get really close with those people, and that bond, I don't think ever severs,
exactly.
because they really understand what you went through. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love hearing that. So after hearing about, so many other women that you knew that had gone through divorce just like you, did it make you feel less alone?
Yes, and then it also makes me feel sad for society.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's like how many people go through this. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm very jaded at the moment, and
of
although
course. Yeah, I would be too.
I don't I don't see myself ever getting married again.
Mhm.
And I know it hasn't been that long that I've been separated, but I've met quite a few interesting characters in dating. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
one of which a few months ago before things ended pretty badly, but anyway, they like I saw a future with them,
Mm.
but it was somebody who wanted to get married. And it's one of those things where, first of all, my divorce isn't even finalized yet, and I'm always very upfront about that with anyone I'm dating, of course. But it's like one of those things that like I don't think I could get married again, and that might be a deal
Mhm.
breaker for some people. I don't think it's become this like I don't need a piece of paper to tell me that I love somebody, that I'm committed. And I think that it just makes things very complicated
Yeah.
should you want to leave or should things end badly. And divorce is very expensive. At one point this year, I was spending $1,000 a week on
Oh, wow.
lawyers a week.
That's like
So
daycare.
literally,
Yeah.
literally. And so it was. it's so expensive. It's such an expensive process, and especially if you have kids. And I do want more kids.
Mhm.
And I'm young enough that I have some time, but I still like, it's really hard because I think that some people do want marriage, but I don't think that a paper needs to define you. And so I feel a little jaded when it comes to things like that. I do think that my outlook might not be some like it might be an unpopular opinion is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Although I know people agree with me, but it's just yeah, I just feel like marriage isn't the end all be all, and I don't
Yeah.
think that it's. I could change my mind. I never say never, of course, but
I think time will help also if you figuring that out. But I mean, if I was in your shoes, I would be just as jaded. Yeah, I mean, that's very understandable from where you've been and you know what the process is now of going through divorce and doing that with a kid. So, yeah, I mean, that's very understandable to be in your shoes and feel that way. I don't think
yeah.
that's bad. You have talked a lot about like dating now and kind of trying to move forward in life with which I think is awesome. And I think it's awesome for a lot of people to hear that also that there is a life after divorce. There is a life after everything you've gone through. How are you navigating that now? I know it's still fresh and new. I have been in the dating world, so I laugh when you say stuff because I understand exactly where you're coming from. Dating is very different, but I think it's really good to hear that you are still trying to move forward in life. Um, so where are you right now?
Okay, so I do first of all want to say that just because you're not fully divorced doesn't mean you don't deserve to have a life. And
Yeah.
so I did get on the apps quite soon for what people thought. And I didn't really care about the judgment. I thought my mom would judge me. My mom is a little bit old school. She's older.
Mhm.
Even though she's my very best friend. She really is. She's a little older. And so she's kind of like, she has this old school mentality, even though she moved in with my dad. My dad had my two brothers. She moved in with my dad before they got married. It was a whole like taboo thing. My grandmother was like clutching her
Yeah.
pearls. Like, it was like a
Losing it,
whole
yeah.
thing. And so like she did that. So she's not completely old school and traditional. And so she's really happy for me that I like got on the apps and I was like so excited. I got on the apps like in January, which is like 2 months after like, things like we separated a month after we got here to Miami.
Yeah.
And so that is quite soon and obviously do it when you feel ready. And a
Mhm.
lot of people, I'm in therapy. I definitely recommend therapy by the way for everybody. Truthfully, I think everybody needs therapy, but that's a different story. But if you're going through this, definitely therapy. My therapist always says like you deserve to have a life. And so
Mm.
people might think that I'm not ready to date. Like you haven't fully processed your divorce. You're not over him. And here's the thing: I think I was over, but like long before things actually ended. I was over it, and so it's different from person to person. Only start dating when you feel ready. I felt ready in January and I was like, you know what, let's do this. And I have had the time of my life. I have had people that I've gone on date like one date with. I've had people that I've gone on two dates with. I had a guy who I really liked who decided to move to San Francisco and not even tell me. Like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
You
was
get
like,
all the dating stories, yeah.
all right. And so I have met some really great people, like very interesting people, and it's been like so amazing. And then I met someone I really, really, really liked, and I didn't expect it. I went to through like I in with the mentality of I want to date for fun. I want to have fun and meet new people, not anything serious. So I was always very transparent about that. And of course, I got a ton of people who were like, "Of course, you want it. It's a
Yeah.
one night stand. You just want
Yeah.
fun." And so I had to weed out some really horrible people. And so when I met this guy, I was kind of like, whoa, I wasn't expecting to like him more like as much as I did. He felt the same way. He also got out of a really long relationship. It wasn't a marriage, but it was a relationship and they were living together and it was like a whole thing. And so very similar stories. Didn't have kids though. And then, we dated exclusively. We had that talk and it was like 3 months. We had a weekend away planned, and
Aw.
then I ghosted him. I mean, he ghosted me. He ghosted me. Did not hear from him.
No.
Like we had a weekend planned, and he did not show up. And so I haven't heard from him since. And that's what happened
No.
there. So that's, I don't know, somehow the trauma from that was worse than my
Yeah, it
divorce.
opened everything back up, I would
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah,
It
the
was like
trust.
it was like, "Are you serious?" I
Yeah.
finally like somebody again, and so there's that. And so since then, it's been like really fun dates here and there until another very nice guy, and that's currently what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Another really, really nice guy that I've been seeing exclusively, and so we'll see where it goes. I'm still like not putting pressure on anything. I'm very upfront and open about like my divorce is not final. I have a kid. I live with my mom and grandma. I come with a lot of crap. Like I come with a lot. And
Yeah.
they know that, and it's been fun. So
I think that's amazing. Like, you are even in the dating world, having somebody that you planned a weekend with and, that opens up the trust and the feelings all over again. I get it. I think that would have hurt me a lot as well. But to see you continuing even past that is I think that's really commendable for sure.
yeah. My thing is, and it's not that I don't want to be alone. It's never that. It's like I just want to have fun. And so
Mhm.
I've learned so much even since that experience that now I just stay fully detached from
Yeah.
anyone. When I first started seeing the guy that I'm currently seeing, which was early September, so it's still early. It's very early, like very early, don't get me wrong. It was kind of like he was a little inconsistent, and I kind of taught him a lesson in that I'm not waiting around for anybody anymore.
Yeah.
You don't make
Yeah.
plans with me, I've got plans with somebody
Boundaries.
else.
Mhm.
I've got plans with somebody else. I have options, and that's not me, like being mean.
No.
That's just me. Like I want to live my life, and I'm not putting my life on pause for someone who may or may not show up. So it was quote unquote teaching him a lesson, and he got that lesson, and he
Yeah.
now we've been seeing each other so much more regularly, and so he doesn't even give me a chance to have anyone else around. And so there's that. It's I definitely love the feeling of being detached, and not in the sense of, being cold, but just unbothered. I'm living my life regardless of whether something works out or not.
Good for you. Good for you. That is such a good lesson. I think so many times as women, it's so easy for us to want to be attached to a man every second or, because I mean, we're around the same age, millennials. So, we grew up seeing the happy endings and the Disney stories, and you end up and fall in love. And when you grow up, you see that that is not easy. And
Mhm.
it's totally different from what the movies portray. So I think that is
Exactly.
awesome for you to get back out there again. I think it's really cool. Two more questions. One I think is really important is about therapy. You spoke on therapy and getting a therapist. How important was that for you to go and seek out a therapist for help?
So I've actually been in therapy for quite a long time, even before. I had therapists growing up too, because I just had
Mhm.
like kind of like a crazy childhood, and it's something that I think truly everyone needs on some level.
Mhm.
You just need to find a therapist that works for you, that you vibe with. But I will say that having a therapist through this has helped me a lot. I think everyone, regardless of what you're going through, everyone needs therapy on some level. It just depends
Mhm.
on how often, just to process what you're kind of going through in your daily life. Everyone has chaos, everyone has it. And so,
Yeah.
truly, therapy has helped me so much. Just sort of validate my feelings, compartmentalize, and figure out like how to navigate things. I had therapy earlier today, actually, and she helped me make a business decision. And
I
so
love that.
I just think that therapy is just so essential, especially when you're going through something so life-changing like divorce. They
Yeah,
really help you process your feelings, so
I
definitely
like
super
that.
important.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's really important. I believe in therapy and think everybody should have it. Like you said, we all have life messes and craziness that goes on, so it helps a
Mhm.
lot. And the last question I always love to end with is just giving some type of advice to anybody listening to this that has now fully heard your story. And I commend you because I think you're probably in a much better place than you think you are, but I think you're in an amazing spot, to have gone through what you've gone through. But what message would you give somebody that is walking in your shoes, that is maybe going through divorce now and just doesn't know where to turn to, or the business also of finding your own niche and really honing into that? Like, what piece of advice would you give somebody to end with?
I would say take it day by day. Start slow. Don't try to rush into a lot of things. There was a lot like when I was first going through this, realizing, oh my God, my life is changing. Try not to rush. A business is not going to grow overnight, but to put in systems in place that will get you to some sort of automated sort of business so that you have something to rely on, something very reliable in the future. If you are going through what I went through and you don't have your own income, start slowly. Start figuring out. Truthfully, when things kind of started getting weird, it was like a few years ago that this kind of happened. It wasn't on this that same scale, but the business wasn't where I wanted it to be. I started stashing money away from his
Yeah.
paycheck, and that's something that I've seen other people do. But truthfully, just try to make your own income in any way. So if you ever feel stuck in a marriage, just know that there are ways out and there are people that will help you get there. You just got to find them, and you got to find what business model works for you, because what works for me may not work for you, that sort of thing. And it's just really, really building up those systems and creating a business that you love that gives you that time freedom, that flexibility, and also that steady income that a lot of people don't have when they're going through things like this. And it's just it's so hard. And so just take it day by day though. That's my biggest thing. Start slow. Don't think that you have
Mhm.
to do like reinvent the wheel. Don't think you have to do everything at once. And like it's don't stress out. What's meant to be will be. It'll work out.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you so much, Laura. I just want to bless you and tell you you're doing such an amazing job. I definitely think you are, especially with the child, and it's just so many blessings from your story, and I can truly hear them and see them. So I think that's awesome. Thank you again for doing this with me.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. And then also in the show notes, I do want to put a link to your marketing agency so people can find where to find you if they're interested also, and just getting more advice from you also. I think that'd be great. So thank you
Awesome.
again.
Thank you.